What a great segue. There we go. On the upper right, in the blue, in this team kill for the Platinum Heroes, DnS.
And down here in the bottom left-hand side of the map from also Platinum Heroes, it is AqueroN. Yeah, and I feel like it's worth mentioning for, you know, maybe like the people who have not been like super diehard fans and stuff. I think a lot of people recognize DnS. He's been a name that's been on those kind of premier stages and stuff in the past, even if he hasn't necessarily been like the absolute top 8 players or for like a Katowice or anything like that. He's definitely been, I think, a name that a lot of people in the European region recognize. AqueroN, I think, is a name who's been around for a while, and I think most people who follow Europe are familiar with him and have seen him here and there and stuff. But I think he is kind of like I would say a minor underdog coming into this. And I say minor underdog because I think that this could actually be a pretty close series. I think that skill level wise, they're actually pretty close. But I do think AqueroN maybe has a little bit less notoriety in the scene. And this is going to be like another one of those cool proving ground opportunities for him to, you know, showcase what he's got, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, I feel like DnS is one of those players that has been kind of like Wayne used to be. Again, giving him a lot of credit for his results this season. Who knows, he might regress back to the mean. But this player who is really promising, you know, he's won big games. He's definitely taken out Raynor in PVZ, for example, and like EPG Cups and things. And like, he's almost been there, but not quite. And he's been almost there so long that he doesn't quite have the excitement that someone like Trigger has been gathering recently, for example, because again, or MaxPax, back when MaxPax was OE of the MaxPax opener and occasionally taking it out of the top name before it's, you know, MaxPax that is arguably the number 2 Protoss player in the world. And it's just, he's been there so long that we kind of forget about him a little bit. But certainly, I don't know if, I was gonna say certainly I think I favor him over AqueroN, but I'm not really sure who I favor here. Now, certainly we do need to talk about this game for a little bit because it is an aggressive opener from both sides. Oracle on the map, gonna run across pretty quickly. But this is, again, that barracks, double gas factory type of opener, but this time there's a second barracks as well, no natural. This is very all-in coming in from AqueroN.
Yeah, super commit attack. Oh my god, that probe scout from DnS was so big. That is massive, being able to see all of this coming and not seeing a command center. Immediately 2 additional gateways being thrown down. Wouldn't hate to see a shield battery, but he has a little bit of time before he needs to worry about that. He knows that he at least has another like minute or so before any units actually come across the map. But throwing down stasis traps, I mean, DnS is empowered to make all of the right decisions because of that probe. That was the MVP suicidal probe.
Oh no, it really isn't. Look at this. He's got a Void Ray on the way here as well. And yeah, Void Rays against Marines, not great. But against tanks, against medevacs, against any other, against Cyclones, maybe even a little bit if you can dodge the lock on. Those are going to be fantastic. So, shield battery 1 done. Second shield battery on the way, adding in a second pile in here, just making sure that you're going to be okay. The one thing we're missing from DnS, and it's a small thing, I want to see these units ahead of the shield bat or the stasis trap. You want to bait AqueroN into it. But now, we're going to see the engage here. Things run in. And the stasis trap on the tank is just about a dream here. The Cyclone, it's a lock-off on an Adept, I guess. I mean, that's something. But being able to prevent this tank from CG up and, in fact, being able to camp out on top of it, not having to use any shield battery energy or very little, well, that's going to be great. But, oh, no, the Void Ray steps a little bit too far forward. Cyclone knocked that down. And, well, for all the dreams we're talking about, that one's a little bit of a nightmare. Tank, though, takes some damage here, but it's going to get saved.
Yeah, Adept ends up falling as we see DnS try to move on forward with all of his units to try and snipe off that other tank. So it's going to be a little bit tough now because now that both of these tanks are here and additional reinforcements arriving for AqueroN, things get dicier and dicier. But remember, economy is in favor of DnS. A shield battery overcharge is going to help out so much. There's another one of these Void Rays pops on now, takes out one of the Cyclones. It's trying to target fire down the medevac, which I don't hate the idea of it, but he's not able to snag that, and he's eating so many of these siege tank shots in the process.
Big deal there, Fear Dragon, is the fact that the Cyclone went down. So yes, there are Marines here, there's a Viking on the field, but the anti-air, the threat on this Void Ray is not nearly as big as it once was. So now, first pylon will hit the deck. Actually, oh, it does depower one of the shield batteries. Luckily, it didn't have a ton of energy. Second shield battery will go down, but how do you find your way down the ramp? Like, that's the really big question. In fact, DnS isn't seems like for the most part he's kind of giving this natural up in a slow manner, because he's got a bunch of depths on the other side and he wants to cut down reinforcements, like just take the real slow fight here. But these shield batteries, they don't have energy, they're not powered. The pylons can't do much of them, so AqueroN is in a bit of a strong position here, and the Void Ray, or the Oracles, the depths on the other side, they're eventually gonna get knocked out by these tanks. But the Oracle, though, nothing shoots up, so it's gonna get a tank.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Yeah, it's actually really, really nice counter damage. And like you were saying, it's about cutting off the reinforcements. And you see how many adepts DnS has been able to build up. He's effectively just trying to make an army that counters the units that are over here right now. The Void Ray can help deal with the Liberator, the Adept shade in and friendly fire onto the siege tank damage onto the Marines. I think this is about go time. The Stalker's also going to try and make their way forward. Bunker's not able to get up, but the Void Ray is actually target firing down those units. The Adepts and the Stalker is forced to fight by themselves, but I think it's more than enough to clean things up, and that is going to be a solid defense and clean up there for DnS. Really, really well done.
Yeah, well played. Those Adepts on the other side, I was a little worried. It's like, man, those are 5 Adepts, right? That's 10 army supply that you don't have in the fight. But instead, it was exactly what was needed, right? It bought time. You killed a tank. You killed off enough Marines. Actually, the Oracle killed the tank, but we'll give him credit anyways. And then you don't have that continuous line of reinforcements. So there really was not a lot that that army without reinforcements is not all that scary. So well done by DnS. Just the patient hold. Bought him all the time he needed.
No, I think patience is a great way to describe exactly what he did there. And like you were saying, like it's also the fact that he was able to intercept those reinforcements and everything. And that means that as he was churning out those units and stuff, if all those reinforcements get there and we see that AqueroN's fighting with all of those reinforcements in one big ball and one big clump, the additional siege tank or 2 siege tanks manage to make their way to the other side of the map, and then DnS tries to pull that kind of defense, I'm not 100% sure he actually wins that anymore. It's the fact that he was able to split up that army, slow things down, and then go for the big dive there, even actually getting up right before the bunkers came up. It was all really, really well timed. But if we get ready to jump into game number 2 and see whether or not things are going to be able to repeat there, if AqueroN's going to say, all right, maybe I should not go for the one base all in against this guy, which, you know, I really wouldn't hate. I wouldn't hate if he tried to do this a little bit more macro, because I know he's capable of it.
Exactly. Well, he certainly held off against the aggression on map 1. Let's see if he can do it on a bigger map, or we get a big macro game on the big map. Up 1, DnS.
On the other side, we have our red Terran player from Platinum Heroes. He is AqueroN. And just to quickly talk about, because that game got started pretty quickly, but to talk quickly about the standings and stuff for the group, this is actually an interesting match, because it's between the 2 players that also managed to take a single map against their opponents in the last series, and both against like decent players, as we do already have some shenanigans starting up over here for AqueroN. But yeah, just to quickly mention, DnS had a really good showing. Even though both of these players lost their series, DnS took a map versus a laser, which is really, really sick. And AqueroN also took a map versus Shadone. So basically this matchup and everything. So honestly, I think both of these players have shown that they're strong and capable players and everything. It's just going to be a little bit tough, because again, one of them is going to go down 0-2 and be like an elimination point for the rest of the Swiss format.
Yeah, but Ravi, on the flip side, think about the storylines we get, right? Someone goes down 0-2, we can really abuse the casterism of their backs against the wall. It's winner go home, right? All those wonderful casterisms that we will fill your ear holes with. Oh, nice little surround there on the probe, knocks that down. That does deny scouting a little bit. And what does DnS see right now, right? He's got nothing. He sees that there is nothing in the base. He sees double gas. He may think that this is a bit, he does actually, look at that, Zealot's just about done. He thinks this is a bit more aggressive than it actually is. This is, on the scale of proxies, this barely even counts as one.
Yeah, and here's the extra trick, is that DnS may even think, this might not be like a super committed proxy, but he has to respect it, or he has to take a massive gamble that my opponent isn't doing some big committed proxy. And this is after a game where last game AqueroN went for the one base all in. So yeah, I don't hate that DnS like has to show a bit of respect for it and everything. But now he's going to pretty much realize, all right, the timing for this Reaper, the fact that the second Reaper is like not coming super duper fast, there's no Marauders or anything coming on out. It's like he should have a good sense of what's going on now.
Yeah, absolutely. The question now, though, is what is the follow-up? So, I like what DnS is doing here. This Zealot, who cares? It's not going to do all that much anymore, so you send it across. You maybe delay the command center just a little bit because you got an Adept at home, and theoretically, well, you got a second one, third one on the way, but man, there's 2 Reapers and a Hellion right here against a single Adept. This is going to be some dead probes. There really is not going to be much saving that. The question now is how much can DnS get done on the other side? As you know, Hellion gets low, Adept starts going to shade in, they're going to kill it off. And here comes the Zealot on the right side. Command center is just about done. Does he get the cancel? No. He gets the SCV though.
Yeah, very, very close actually there. Like that was less than half a second away from being able to slow things down for a little bit longer, which would have been quite annoying. Forcing the Reapers back home, the Cyclone pop out to clean up the Zealot, and then an SCV gets sent down to low ground. So a little unfortunate there for DnS. Doesn't quite get the trade that he was hoping for, but at least does pull the rest of the units back and allows these Adepts a bit of map control so they can safely move out across the map and see what they can get done. Because, well, Cyclone can get lifted up by the Phoenix, and this can actually turn into something.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. It's 4 Marines, 2 Reapers, and a Cyclone. That's just about it. Yes, more is going to pop on out here, but I mean, you're right. You can lift a lot here with the 2 Phoenix. So this is a lot of pressure, and with 3 Adepts, it one-shots pretty much every bio unit on the ground, and next the Adepts, they shade out a little bit, 1 will fall. And I feel like this has been the story that we've been telling in this game too. You have what looks like a powerful push coming in, lots of economic damage potential, and then 2 workers go down, and you say, we lost a unit, we killed 2 workers, kind of a wash. AqueroN did it with 2 Reapers and a Hellion. DnS has done it here. We just kind of go on.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say that I don't think anything is going really poorly for DnS. I don't think this is a game where DnS is just, you know, hands off the keyboard, holding his head, thinking like, oh man, I only killed 2 workers. I think it's one of those things where it's like, there was hopes that maybe he could get a little bit more done there, but he can absolutely play from this position. He's still got his Phoenix alive. He's able to do something that I think in some of the previous PvTs we haven't been able to see from the Phoenix players, which is actually use them aggressively and put on little bits of harassment, poke and prod, look for openings, and get the transition points up behind all of this. And this is going to put AqueroN very much so on the defensive, while DnS just gets to, you know, do whatever he wants back at home.
You say that, but I think we're kind of shoes on the other foot here, right? It's 3-1. There is no starport just yet.
Oh, yeah,
Stim combat shield is just about done. DnS, yeah, you know, he can be aggressive with the Phoenix, and by being aggressive with the Phoenix, he scouts that there are in fact 3 racks on the map, and he's gonna have to be very careful about this push because AqueroN is about to get aggressive right now. His stim is done, his combat shield is done, and yes, it is Gressfon. It's a little bit harder to run across the map as the Cyclone gets a lock on, but when you have an army of this size, the Phoenix are not going to be able to delay it all that much at all. And now it really is on DnS. Can he defend? His charge is halfway done. Armor only just getting started. Like, he does not really have a lot to defend right now.
Yeah, I think he just wants to try and be able to buy like 15-20 seconds, and then potentially charge can finish up during the attack. So sacrifices a Phoenix and does buy a little bit of time as all the Marines start to move a little bit further back, but he still needs just a tiny bit more time. Cyclones getting in range to lock on. Shield batteries can buy a bit of time as well, but he's just not quite there yet.
No, yeah, right. He needs about 20 seconds before charge completes. And actually, you know what? The tanks are a little bit undefended right now. So theoretically, maybe you run the Phoenix in, but even that is scary. So 4 more Zealots. They warp in. Charge done in 10 seconds. Do you give up the third base for that 10 seconds, DnS? That really is the question here. Seems like, yes, that is going to be the answer. So Phoenix coming in from the right side. You're going to see them swoop in, lift the tanks. DnS needs to make this break happen right now. The damage is really going to start to compound. But maybe actually, as I say that, he's just kind of going to give the position up. Doesn't think he can take the fight.
Yeah, at this point also, it's a little bit of a question, like, what are you actually defending now? I guess like the most you could hope for, you could say like, is that he's trying to punish. You look for a punish on the army, right? A punish where you just try and say like, you killed my third, but at least I can kill off your army and maybe put on some counter pressure. And I guess maybe the question is, do you feel like you're going to be able to get that trade when he was set up over there? Or are you going to get a better trade trying to just chase him down across the map as he's unsieged and everything, which I don't know, maybe that's the way. this is just a really tough position to play from. So I don't know that there's a lot of right answers.
Yeah, it really is. And we just look back. I love Phoenix play. I think according to Maru, for example, it is the best. If you do not open Stargate, if you don't open Phoenix, you're probably putting yourself behind a little bit. But, oh, big Widowmine shots. They're good splits, but you still lose Phoenix, and you really can't afford that in this stage of the game. But yeah, again, according to Maru, you don't open like that. It's a problem. But against the 3-racks, Phoenix play is pretty horrendous here. Now the SCVs, they've been pulled. AqueroN's not waiting. He's not going on to 3 base. He's not expanding into this. No. He senses blood, and he will absolutely take advantage. He's up 30 army supply. He's got a bunch of zealots here. How in the world does DnS hold this?
I mean, my only thing that I was going to say is Dark Templars, but I think one of the 2 scans just got used. There's still a second scan available as well. So even if some DTs got warped in right now, I'm not sure that it would be able to save the day in time.
Yeah, it's a little bit Archon. I mean, there's an Archon here.
There's
Zealous.
Second scan.
Yeah, there we go. Second scan. Shield battery overcharge is popped. Archons are staying alive a tiny bit, but not enough at all. And a 16 army supply. DnS goes Mass Phoenix against the 3-racks. It kind of happens as we expect. And AqueroN takes us to game 3.
Yeah. Rough situation there. Again, like, you really do need to try and find ways to buy time with the Phoenix, and AqueroN is just not going to have any of it there. Like, he just really was not going to allow those Phoenix to try and delay his push out or anything. But you can imagine a world where, yeah, maybe you do finish up charge and get like 1 additional round of like 4, 5 or so zealot warp ins. Then you get the lift ups on the siege tanks, and the charge lots manage to close the distance of the bio. Like, maybe that turns into something. I think it's still kind of a tough defense there, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. AqueroN just doesn't even let him get that kind of potential defender's advantage and shuts it down.
Yeah, I really wish that we would have seen DnS just try to take the fight. Yeah, maybe it wouldn't have worked, but charge timing with you when you have all those Phoenix in the sky, that's probably your best opportunity. And you asked, okay, what's the point of taking that fight, right? You've lost the third. What are you defending? Not taking that fight meant AqueroN was able to run home, build up a little bit more, have a couple medevacs, pull the SCVs, do it again. There was no punish. And then when you have, 20 supply-ish of SCVs pulled with the army, there's no way the Zealots are cutting through that. It's just not going to happen. So by not punishing the army, you gave AqueroN round 2 immediately after round 1, and just, we saw what happened.
Yeah, my hope was that in that last game, he was going to use like charge zealots to basically catch up and use the Phoenix as all those units were just in the center of the map and unsiege siege tanks and everything, but not being able to take advantage of that. Yeah, at that point, he's just playing from behind. So a bit unfortunate, but fortunate for us, we get to head into a game number 3 now.
That we do. And in the upper left, he's been hitting with aggression and aggression and aggression. Let's see if we get it for a third time. It's AqueroN.
And down on the bottom right-hand side of the map, we have our blue Protoss player. He is DnS. So you think AqueroN's going to go for another big, aggressive play over here?
Well, it's Barracks double gas, and he has technically proxied to Barracks in the same way he did in game number 1. So from that perspective, yeah. I think it's somewhat likely. He's done it 2 games. He's opening kind of just like he did in the other games where he went aggressive, so it wouldn't surprise me at all.
I really like that. In reaction to how aggressive AqueroN has been playing, though, DnS is scouting around for proxies and everything around his natural, checks around on like the north side, looking at the potential normal locations where you'd have a proxy second barracks or something. So even though there is still a potential that he just like didn't see the proxy barracks or something along those lines, he comes in forward here with the probe and should at least be able to identify, okay, like it's a little bit less likely that there is a proxy barracks right now, just because I scouted like a lot of the common locations for it. So if he does decide to take a risk and say like, I'm just gonna pretend, like assume that the proxy's on your side of the map again, like I actually don't hate something like that, because it's like a calculated risk at that point. And now he knows.
I don't like the decision there to kill the probe with the Reaper. Like, yeah, realistically, did DnS scout a lot of positions? Yeah, sure, but there's no need to confirm it to him. Like, send the Reaper across the map. Maybe you're gonna get something. You have follow-up, something that can deal with a probe. Unless AqueroN is doing something really weird that he doesn't want to get scattered. I mean, it's not like DnS didn't know the factory was there. he saw it in production for quite a while. He was able to click on it. Yeah. So just get the Reaper over a little faster. Maybe you get a probe. Certainly, don't give him the easy confirm.
Yeah, I think that's entirely fair. I'm curious if it's either his follow-up is going to be even trickier and he really wants to hide that, or if, I don't even know, he thought that the probe actually moved down to the low ground angle and got close enough to see the barracks. So either way, that's the way that AqueroN decides to play it out. And now DnS is able to kind of start gradually reacting to what he thinks he may be up against. So he's going to go for like some of the safety things. He's going to get up the shield battery in his natural. He's going to have an oracle that will be just a useful tool as we've seen before against like any of the kind of early shenanigans that AqueroN could throw out at him.
And I'm not going to say bad news for DnS. Maybe it's good news. I don't know. But this is not going to be the same level of aggression we saw in game number 1. It's barracks, double gas factory into command center. So this unlocks a bunch of different builds. You can have Widowmine drops. I mean, one Widowmine is out, but it seems like that's going to be the only one. In fact, it's... Oh, never mind. That's the Reaper. But anyway, you know, you have these Widowmine drops. You can go with a bunch of Marines, something like that. A Viking's going to come out here, which kind of makes you think that this is going to be some sort of like Viking tank liberator, or this like Viking tank liberator Cyclone Marine type of push, which, hey, we've seen it work to great effect in, well, some of the TVPs we've had today already.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Reaper managed to get quite far in over here, and it's mostly just going to see that the Stargate is still producing additional units and that additional Phoenix are coming out, which I don't think is a massive surprise given how today is gone. But yeah, it's going to allow AqueroN to just be a little bit more prepared about how he's going to be taking these fights and stuff, and where those Cyclones maybe want to be positioned for the next like minute or two.
Yeah, downside though, on the other, DnS was so focused on killing the Reaper that he lost the Oracle. So I don't know quite what killed it. I guess it was a Marine or two, but yeah, losing that Oracle, it's only one, right? You don't expect it's going to get a lot of worker damage, but even just getting revelations consistently on the army is incredibly impactful. So I do like DnS. He has adapted after the pressure that he took in game 1 and game 2. He's committed to some Phoenix, sure, but there are Immortals on the way. He's adding additional gateways. That is a much quicker Robo Bay. So yeah, he's got some Phoenix, but he is putting himself in a much better position to defend against whatever AqueroN is going for. And in this case, kind of a 3-1-1 type of thing.
Yeah, that is really unfortunate. And actually, you're absolutely right. Like, I also thought, like, oh, I was checking the kill counts on the Vikings, the Cyclones, the Marines. It's the Widowmine, actually, that has single kill. I think that's actually what managed to net that single kill on the Oracle. So really, really going to suck. The Widowmine was positioned outside of the natural, so it was in a kind of tricky position. But now losing another Phoenix as well, not exactly the way you want your early game, like, Stargate unit play to go.
Yeah, and unfortunately there too, there was absolutely room for DnS to go just pick up that Cyclone for half a second, cancel it, and still get away. Instead, he thought he could run, and he very much could not. And he's not even going to scout the move out. Not at first. Now he does, but I think we're in a similar spot. This time, though, there were 2 Immortals, and, 2 Immortals, they do a lot better than 6 Phoenix. So let's see what he can do here as another Phoenix goes down on the north side. So more and more workers go down. That force field whiffs everything for your Dragon. This is looking dicey.
This is looking really, really dicey. Shield battery is still finishing up, and he's going to actually end up retreating back to the natural instead. So cut off from his third base. He has a shield battery at the natural, but there's no way this third base actually is going to get up, and he knows it. Just goes to the cancel. A single Colossus should pop out, but with how many Phoenix have died, and also I want to note 8 workers dying as the third base gets canceled, but so many Phoenix have died that I actually don't know what stops the Vikings anymore.
Shield battery? Like, for a while, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's optimistic for sure.
Yeah, he added a third tank as well. One of the big changes with the shield battery nerfs that have happened over the last several patches is 3 tanks can kill a Colossus. They can punch through shield battery overcharge. So not only do we have like 6 Vikings in the sky, you have these tanks that can kill the Colossus as well. Life is becoming very difficult for DnS here. He's adding on disruptors, which again, I don't hate. They're good against tanks, and certainly these Colossus are going to struggle, but building disruptors one at a time against this hard contain, I don't even know that I believe in that necessarily.
Yeah, it was also really tough because as he lost the third base, he was also extremely supply blocked. He had 6 pylons on the way after, I think, 2 or 3 pylons plus the Nexus going down. And yeah, there's the Colossus, just gets targeted right down. Vikings can actually just land on the Disruptor when he decides to move on forward. If he really wants to go for that, he could land next to the shield batteries and target fire them down. Like, he has so many options to work with here on the micro.
Yeah, now Stim is done too if AqueroN wants to take advantage of it, but for now, just Vikings, they're providing vision. Happy to sit in the sky. Yeah, they'll take a pot shot from a stalker or something, but they killed the Colossus. Their job is mostly done. They're dealing with these Vikings pretty well as well, just draining all the energy on that shield battery. Another Disruptor shot goes out, gets a Widow Mine. But I'm not sure that that is worthwhile. I guess we did lose 1 tank. I think 1 tank did go down. So there is that, you know, it's not this scary 3 tank count as much anymore, but I mean, this continuous rally, how do you stop it from one angle?
I just don't see an end in sight. Here's the thing, is like, sometimes you'll have Protoss players that feel like they're buying time for something, some tech is gonna be coming out. Charge is a ways away. Dark Shrine is on the way, that's a ways away. And Immortal, like, I think 4th Immortal is gonna be nice, and yeah, you can try and chip away with the Disruptor, but I feel like time is not necessarily going to be super on his side. Another one of the Immortals goes down, and feels like this is finally go time with shield battery overcharge. But the Vikings annihilate the Phoenix in the air. There's nothing to protect these Immortals on the ground anymore, and AqueroN just feels like he's going to be able to wait out the shield battery overcharge and then end the game.
Yeah, I do like the timing there for AqueroN. As soon as that Disruptor shot gets used, he moves in. He's like, okay, well, that's your one big cooldown. That's the one key piece of tech that you have that allows you to actually defend against me a little bit. I know I killed your Robo Base, so even if you have another one, you really will not have all that much. So yeah, I will absolutely stim in on that timing. And again, this Disruptor, it's still about 3 seconds, and now it's going to pop up once again, but there are Liberators now. I mean, good luck even getting the Disruptor in range.
Yeah, this is one of those pure pain situations. I think even a big Disruptor hit, one big Disruptor hit would not save DnS this game. And it's a little bit unfortunate. He may even get close to 1. No, it doesn't quite get it. Natural expansion goes down. Vikings land, and the fight is going to go heavily in favor of AqueroN. That's a 2-1 for our Terran player here. Being able to take out DnS, really, really well done.